It is Monday, August 24th, and it's about 9:40 a.m. I am not working today. I'm not on a dash. My niece had surgery last week, and so she's very bored. So I'm going over there to visit and bring her Starbucks and give her something to do. It's a pretty long drive, so I thought this would be the perfect time to make a video for you. Um, to recap for anybody who may not have seen the previous videos, 60 years old, been in my job for the last 10 years, hated it, started hating it over the last many years, was looking to quit, so I started doing DoorDash, ended up getting fired, and DoorDash became my full-time job, which actually made me pretty happy. So I've been doing it for about 2 weeks now, and I've learned a few things along the way that I thought I would share. Uh, so 10 things that I've learned. First thing, to do this job full time, to count on it for your your livelihood, you need to be a self-motivated person. You know, I can complain about having a job and having to be somewhere at a certain time whenever my boss tells me to, but put me in a position where it's my choice and it becomes a little bit harder. I'm able to do it, but I think some people might have a hard time with that. It's a lot harder to get yourself up and going when you don't really have to. So that's the first thing. Number two kind of goes along with number one. You need to be flexible as far as the hours that you're going to work. You're not going to be able to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and make a lot of money. I mean, you can do it. You can work those hours, but you won't make very much money. Food delivery, shopping delivery, has certain busy hours. Um, I have found myself working very early in the mornings and then home for 3 to 4 hours and then going back out in the evenings to work. So, got to be flexible. Number three, you need to test. Uh, you've heard it everywhere. Every market is different. Every city is different. The demand, how many drivers there are, always different. So you need to test your area. Work in different areas around your city, uh, different hours, and keep records. I use ChatGPT to keep all my records because I'm not a good record keeper. I'm too lazy. But I can just tell him what I did today, how many miles I drove, where I worked, when I worked, and all that. And he does all the analyzing and tells me when I should work and where I should work. So that's been a huge help. Number four, I have learned that orders are rarely ready when you go to pick them up. Uh, Big places, chains like McDonald's, especially McDonald's for some reason, almost almost 9 times out of 10 not ready when you get there. Little independent restaurants, those they're ready a lot more often, although again, not always. So you need to factor that in. The app, when you take an order, when you get an order, it tells you the approximate amount of minutes that it's going to take to complete that order and get paid for it. You need to add a little bit to that because they're never ready. That's all there is to it. Plan for them to not be ready, and then when they are ready, great. Number five, shopping orders. In a very short amount of time, I have come to hate shopping orders. They will always have problems. Every single time. Okay? Not exaggerating. I have not had a shopping order yet, even when there was one item that there hasn't been an issue. So again, they always take longer than they're supposed to. You can't find the item. They don't have the item. When you do find the item, it won't scan. When you get up to the register, the code won't scan. There's a million things that could go wrong, and they will go wrong. Just plan on it. Um, there's also something that I wanted to tell you about in Walmart Spark that made me make a mistake once because I didn't understand it. Sometimes you'll be shopping for the items and it'll say review, and it wants you to scan something that you already scanned. I had a bottle. It was like a 20-ounce bottle of 7-Up. I remember this distinctly, and it wanted me to scan it, and I thought that's the first thing I got in the cart. But if it wants me to scan it again, I'll scan it again. Turns out later, when I was in the car and I left and everything, it turns out that what that review meant was that the customer had made a change to the order. She had changed it from one bottle of 7-Up to two. That's why I was supposed to get another one and scan it. And I did not. I only delivered one, and I still feel bad about that to this day. But so that's what that means when you see that review thing. But that's, again, when you're new, that's another problem that's going to happen. You're not going to understand what's going on in the app, because there's a lot going on, a lot. Number 6 is night deliveries versus day deliveries. They are, no pun intended, night and day. They are very, very different. The biggest problem I have at night is finding addresses. It's sometimes it's hard enough in the daylight to find an address. The addresses are not always printed on the curbs or on the front of the house, and especially an apartment. You get an apartment at night, add extra time. I've pretty much given up on, once it gets dark, I go home because it's just too much trouble. I got a really good flashlight and everything, but I'm flashing the light at all these houses, and I'm like scaring people because that flashlight goes in their windows and they think a cop's outside or a burglar or something. I don't know. So yeah, I've pretty much given up on nighttime deliveries, but just know that they're going to be very, very different. Number 7 is the difference between, I guess, the DoorDash and Uber Eats and Walmart Spark. To be very honest, I thought I signed up with Walmart Spark because from what I saw, they paid a lot more per order, and they do. But they're also they don't pay. It's deceptive. These $30 and $40 orders are deceptive. One, if you get a $40 order, you're going to have 15 stops at least, and it's going to take you. Usually, if it's $40, it's going to take you 40 miles. So, not only do you have to drive 40 miles, you're only getting $1 a mile, and you have to stop at least 15 times. You also have to drive back. Usually, it depends on if you're in an area where you can get another DoorDash or Uber delivery to send you home or to send you back towards Walmart, but it's very inconvenient. So if you have an electric car, it's totally worth it, I think, but I do not. So uh, I've almost given up on Walmart Spark as well. It just was not lucrative for me. My dollar to mile ratio is $2. That's my rule. I will not take any order under $2 per mile, and very few of those come through on Walmart. And then again, most of the Walmart orders are shopping orders. Some you go to the curbside pickup and they'll put it in your car, but most of them are shopping orders, and that takes a lot of time. So not only are you driving a lot of miles, but it takes a lot of time. It's just, to me, it was not worth it, but it is going to be very different than DoorDash and Uber Eats. Speaking of driving miles, number 8, gas powered versus electric vehicle. I obsess about gas, about miles. It's constantly in my head. I'm figuring how much did I pay per gallon, so how much is that per mile. And so for this order I went 7 miles, so I spent $1.75 on gas. I mean, it's ridiculous. I am an overthinker by nature, but if you have a gas vehicle, plan on, I mean, I'm assuming everybody's gas is really high right now. Last time I got gas, I paid $5.29 a gallon. That's in Southern California. I think a lot of you are luckier; you pay a lot less, but still high prices for your area. So you're gonna obsess about that. Get used to it. Number 9 was one that kind of shocked me. Idle time will mess with your mind. There are times that I have sat for over an hour waiting for an order. And during that hour, you're not making any money. If you drive, you're spending money. You don't know when the order's going to come in. Sometimes bad orders will come in and that you can't take. And you're just sitting there and it will mess with your head. You're thinking, I can't make money doing this. This is never going to work. They're never going to give me a good order. It just on and on. My head just goes, it just spins. I'm trying to learn not to let that idle time mess with me. There will be busy times. There will be slow times. That's all there is to it. But the orders will always come back. And if worse comes to worse, I can always work more. It's, with me, again, when you're doing this full time, I don't have a job that I have to do for 8 hours a day. So I'm not limited. Other than the 12 hours that Uber Eats and DoorDash allows me to work each day, I'm not limited to how many hours that I can work. So if I need to work more, I can. I prefer not to, but it's an option. But yeah, it will mess with your head. So don't let one bad day or one bad shift or even one bad hour tell you that you can't do this, because they will happen and there's nothing you can do about it, but it always turns around. Number 10, I kind of saved the worst for last. Um, in 2 short weeks, I have realized that just food delivery, shopping orders, food delivery in my area, it's not sustainable full time. I can't. There aren't enough orders, and I just realized that a few days ago, because I guess with DoorDash, your first when you're brand new, they give you, for your first 50 orders, you can, what they call dash now, anytime. You can log in anytime you want and start working anywhere, anytime. But once you hit that 50th order, all of a sudden you have to start scheduling blocks of time. And what I have realized is, it's not that there's not enough orders in my area, there are too many drivers. Because in the few days that I've tried to schedule blocks in my own area, they're none available. I go 6 days in advance, and all the time blocks in my area are full. I have had to, if I want to schedule DoorDash, I have to schedule it far away from my home and commute. That was a big eye opener. And again, not sustainable. The gas, again, too much. So unfortunately, just doing the food delivery ain't gonna cut it for me. It's not gonna pay my rent. It's not gonna pay my car payment. I think my first week I made $182. That's how much I was paid from all the apps. And then my second week, 230 something, 234, I think. You can't live. Nobody can live on that. So that was before gas. So what I've started doing, and I'm gonna make a new video about this, but I have started giving rides. I started doing ride sharing. I wondered, with ride sharing, there's gonna be too many drivers. but actually there's not. I'm never idle when I'm doing ride sharing. I've orders come at me, boom, boom, boom. They never stop. I think the thing is with ride sharing, you have to have your car has to be a certain age, can't be beyond a certain age, and you have to get a safety inspection every year. You have to go and pay for that. So that might be what's stopping a lot of people. I'm not sure, but the ride sharing has been a lot more lucrative. Um, I think I've only done it for 4 days. I compared to the 234 that I got paid last week. I'm scheduled to be paid tomorrow, uh, almost $650. So that's a huge difference. Um, I didn't want strangers in my car. I don't want to talk to people, but I will. I will if it means that I won't lose my apartment. Um, as I'm getting used to it. Most people don't want to talk. They just stare at their phones. I love those people. Other people do want to talk. That's fine. Um, but we'll talk about that again on another video. But I guess, I mean, it's everybody talks about, are there enough orders in your area? I really don't believe it's the number of orders that's the problem. It's the number of people who are trying to do this as a second job or whatever, to make extra money. There's just too many of us that need work. And yeah, that was the most depressing and the most surprising thing that I learned. So I'm going to leave you with all that to think about. As I said, I'm taking today off, but I'll be back in the car tomorrow. So I will see you on my next delivery. Thanks for being with me. There's a dragonfly trying to get in my car. Ah! I don't do dragonflies. Those things, they're like prehistoric. Damn.